Hi friends, welcome to Tutor's Funny channel. Today I am going to teach Laravel CRUD RESTful API with repository pattern. This is the professional way to make the implement the Java Laravel CRUD application using the repository pattern. This is a standard method, right? When you are go through the internet interview, if you are show the code using the repository pattern, your code is very professional. You have to make the implement the Laravel project using the repository pattern. So how to do the system step by step we'll teach, right? So first I'm going to go to Google and go to the Laravel website. Click on this first link. It goes to the Laravel official page. Click on the documentation. Here where I'm going to install the Laravel. Here, click on this. This is a Laravel 11. Okay, the default it will be change it as Laravel 11 version, right? So now what you're going to do is I'm going to go to my G drive. I'm going to create the new folder which is a Laravel projects. Inside the folder, I'm going to create my project. You have typed the command cmd, open up the command prompt. Here I have to paste it. Composer create project Laravel. This is the version. Okay, you can define the version here or not. It will be take it to you to a latest version. Okay, so we don't worry about. Okay, so you don't need a version here. Okay, if you are using the Laravel/Laravel, this is your update. I'm going to create CRUD app. Employee CRUD app. I'm going to get employee CRUD app. Right. So if you mention the version or not, it will be installed. It's automatically taken the latest version. Okay. If you are go along with the previous version like 10 or 8 or 9, you have to mention the version, which version you are going to install. Okay. So now here we don't need to mention the version. It automatically taken the latest version in your project. Press enter key on your keyboard. Your installation is started. You have to wait until the installation has been completed. Now the project installation has been completed successfully. You will be able to see here the project installation has been completed successfully. Now this is your project. Okay, employee CRUD. Go inside the project. You can see all your folder structure and file structure would be there. Now I'm going to open up all the file structure and folder structure into VS Code editor. So here go to select the address bar, type cmd command, press enter key. Your command prompt is open up. So here you have to type the command code space dot and press enter key on your keyboard. You all the code folder and file structure, open up the VS Code editor. Right here, trust. Right now here what I'm going to do is here you will be able to see the folder structure and file structure. First of all, what you're going to do is you have to configure the database. Here you can see your file structure. There is a file called which is a .env. Okay, this is nothing but a database configuration. This is nothing but a database configuration, right? If you are look at the database configuration, here is where you can configure the database configuration. So here you can see as a default in Laravel 11, your database has a SQLite, right? SQLite. Now, if you want to change your DB connection as MySQL, you have to change it over here, right? So let me see how to change it, right? So what you're going to do is here, you have to make it as here. I'm going to go to open up XAMPP server first. Start. Your XAMPP server is startup. Right now I'm going to go to here this is your MySQL. Click admin button. It will open up your database over here. It will be automatically open up your database. Right, your database dashboard has been opened. Now I'm going to create a new database, which is I'm going to DB SVS. I just create the name of SVS. You can create any name. I just create the name as SVS. Just I'm going to create a company. Just imagine I have created some company name. Okay, the example I'm going to DB. This is my database. Click create. Now your database has been created. So this is the name. Right. This name this is my MySQL. Okay, this is a database. I'm going to configure my project. So here all this one should be all thing. You comment it, you select all, control plus forward slash on your keyboard. You can plus control plus forward slash on your keyboard. Your code is uncommented. Here you have to DB connection. You have to make it as MySQL. This is your port where your MySQL server is running. Your database, you have to mention it. Which database you are going to mention? I'm going to mention my database is which one? DB SVS. This is your database. That's it. While installing my MySQL server, the default username is root, default password is blank. Okay, that's how I have configured my MySQL connection. Right. Keep file save all. You make it as save the configuration. Right. Perfect. Now again, what the things you have to do it here? You have another one modification you have to do it here. We have to, otherwise you have to get some error. So here you have to write here this one. You have to call it here DB connection. This one, this code you can, after the password you copy this. This if you go through my Laravel documentation, you can see this all things are there. env file, you have to, after create the Laravel project, you have a change the env file. Here you can edit this one, right? So here we have to change the database name also. I have, okay, so you put it here, right? That's it. That's the thing you have to write. You just get that from my website. Okay, don't worry about that. Save all, right? Okay, so here now what you're going to do is I'm going to open up the new terminal. I'm going to run it php artisan save command to run your app first. Now here copy this URL, control C to copy, control V to paste over here, press enter key. Now here your DBSSN does not exit. Whatever the problem, right? So what the problem is over here, we have to make the migration command. That's the problem, right? So control C to stop the project. I'm going to run the php artisan migrate. Here now the table, all the table has been migrated. First you have to type the migration command. After that you have to run the php artisan save. Right, now here if you are refresh it, now it's running. This is your MySQL, your Laravel 11 dashboard look like this. Okay, the Laravel 10 there's no problem. Here we have to run the migration command. They are asked to run the migration command to the default table has been updated. Right, perfect. Now what you're going to do is after that we have done the stuff so far. I'm going to implement the things is here your migration, create a migration. Okay, so here migration, run the project. Okay, so after that what I'm going to do is I'm going to migrate the one. Okay, I'm going to using migrate, right? So I'm going to use the migrate the project. So you have to write here this one, run the migration command. So you have to write the, I'm going to create the tables. I'm going to create a table. So how to create the tables? So you have to write here this one, tables. So I'm going to create the tables. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my new terminal. Here click the plus symbol to open up the new terminal. Here you have type on it here create, what is the command you have run? Create, sorry, here this is the command php artisan. I just copy this. I'm going to explain. Okay, paste it, right click and paste it. Okay, just okay. So php artisan make migration create. Here you have to spell as employees. If you are students, you have to write as a plural, right? Okay, that is the efficient way to create the table. Okay, what is the table you have created on Laravel? We have to pronounce as plural. Okay, so here we have to spell as plural. Okay, if it is students, staffs. Okay, here employees, right? So you have to spell as plural, right? So after that press enter key on your keyboard. Now your table has been, migration file has been created. You can find it inside the database folder, migration. Here your table. Here defaultly we have one primary key ID. Rest of the column we have to create it. Okay, so what are the columns you have to create? This is the columns copy and I paste it. You can see here how to create it here. You can see here table string, say employee name. After that, this is the string, and then this is the address. Okay, this is the phone number. Okay, phone number you can make it as a string. If you want, you can make it as integer. I keep a string. That's no problem. Okay, this is how we have created columns, table columns. You have to create it. Okay, this is I am going to create a new database table, which name is employees. Okay, these are the columns which will be created in my database table. So this ID should be auto increment. You don't need to implement anything. It's this auto increment. It automatically coming up. Timestamp will be date and time will be automatically set it. We don't need to set it again. So these are the columns we have to create. What are the columns we have to include in your database table? These are the columns we need. So we have to edit over here. Now we have to run the command which is a PHP artisan migrate. Press enter key on your keyboard. Now your table has been migrated. Now let's check it. Click DBSCS. Here you can see. The problem is here. So I have had a problem. So before you migrated, so here I forgot to save out. That's the problem. Okay, so what you are going to do is I'm going to remove it, the migration file. Okay, keep in your mind when you are create the migration, you must save all. Otherwise, you have to delete them. This one here also the table structure. That's why here this column is not created. Okay, so select the DB, click on the employees. I'm going to delete them. If you have forgot to create it, do this action. Right now, I'm going to go to create it. Don't worry about that. The column I haven't saved it. That's why it will automatically. That is not applied. Okay, so here I'm going to again you have to run the command. Here the up and down key arrow on your keyboard, you have to select the command. PHP artisan make migration, create employee table, press enter key. Right, the migration file again created. Okay, right. So here now I specify the tables columns. Now we have to file save all. If you are not save all, it not created. Okay, now we have to run the command which is a PHP artisan migrate. Now let me look at the table structure. You will be able to see here. And now refresh it. Employees. Here you will be able to script. Okay, hope you will understand. Okay, hope you will get to understand. Right. After that, you run the migration command. After that, we have to implement the API. Okay, the controller. Okay, how to create the controller. This is not a ordinary controller. This is the API controller. We are not creating ordinary controller. Okay, we're not web development. We are doing the web development. We are the API. Then so we have to implement the controller. PHP artisan make controller, employee controller API. You have to run this command. Okay, copy this, paste over here. Here, when you are create a controller, you type PHP artisan make controller. Here write specify the name of the employee controller, which is a singular, not a plural. Here you understand when you create the migration file, you have to make it as a plural. When you create a controller, you have to keep in your mind which is a singular. This is the rule of Laravel. Okay, right? You have to keep remember of the rules. Okay, while you create the controller and migration files. Okay, right? So here you have typed the API. If you specify the API, it will be create as a RESTful API. Press enter key. Your API file has been created. Okay, so go to here, inside app, HTTP, employee control, say API. Okay, it will be method, all things are created. Okay, perfect. It's doing perfect work. Okay, now what you are going to do is I'm going to create another thing is a model. I'm going to create a model. Right. So model, which is what is the thing is model? What does a model mean? Model is a part which will be communicate with the database and establish the database connection between your Laravel project and MySQL server. So both are we have connected through the data will be passing through the model. Okay, the model we have created the schema. What are the columns are there? So all the schema will be set it this model. The model via data is passing. Okay, the model where data is passing, it's traveling. Okay, right. Now what you're going to do is this all the things. I just create the model this way, copy this, paste it. Employee model is PHP artisan make model. What's the model name? Which is an employee model. Okay, model has been created successfully. Now what you're going to do is here, this is the things. So I'm just copy this all things, implemented here. Here if your model is created, you can find the model. Inside the app folder, there will be the folder called model. Inside the model folder, we have a file called employee. Here we have to implement the code section. Products table name, which is a employees table. Which table? Employees. So you have to mention the table name correctly. Employees. Okay, so here what's the name? Employees. Employees. ID. These are the columns reside on the employee table. Employee name, address, and phone number. Okay, these are the columns. Okay, employee name and phone number. Right. File save all. Okay, so we have this is the model. This is the primary key employee table, primary key ID. These are the fillable columns. We have okay. You can see the fillable column. Employee name, address, phone number. I have set it as correct format here. Perfect. Alright. I hope you will understand. Okay. I hope you will understand. Understand. Now let's continue. We have done so far well. Now let's back to our repository pattern. Back to our repository pattern. Right. Create the repository pattern. Right. This is a must. Okay. Inside the app folder, create the folder which is a employee repository. Okay. So you have to app folder. I'm going to create the new folder which is a employee repository. Repository. Here I'm going to create the two different files which is a employee implementation. Select this folder, right click at employee implementation.php. Another file I'm going to create as a employee interface.php. You have created two different files. Employee implementation.php, employee interface.php. We have created two different files. Okay, this is the standard way. We have created as the standard way, employee repository pattern. Right? So now what you are going to do is simply you have to implement this one. You have to look at this controller. Right? So here what you are going to do is here I'm going to make it the code very simple. Right? So we have an interface. Okay, this is interface. Interface, we have only the method. The method action will be done by the implementation. This is the interface. This is the implementation. Right? So first, what you're going to do is here, I'm going to see here. First, so look at go to the interface. I'm going to first open the PHP tag. Open and close it. Here you have write namespace. Your namespace means this file is reside on here app slash you have write employee repository. Here you copy it, right click, rename, copy this, paste it over here. Right, so this is not this one, not this, make it as this slash. Okay. All right, now what you're going to see the interface. You have the employee interface. You have the employee interface. Open and close bracket. Here what I'm going to do is this is the called as interface, right? Interface. Here we have to make the 4 different methods which is relevant to the CRUD operation. What are the methods we have to implement here? Public function store data. After that, this same thing I just copy and paste it over here. This one, get all employee. Third one, I'm going to make it as copy this and paste it over here. This one, update employee. Here we have to make it as ID, comma, data. Third one, I'm going to copy this, paste it over here. This one I'm going to make it as delete employee. Okay, so here, look at this interface. You can see here, when you store the data, we have all the data should be there. Okay, or when the data is coming from our API format, so all the data we have show, we have to get all function like this. Here, we have to pass two parameters, ID and data, while you are uploading the records. Why? Because when you are uploading the records, because the existing records you are going to update it. So when you update the existing record, you can't update directly the primary key of the database field. Okay, so that's the primary key, that's a unique key. So that we have to get the unique ID of the row and along with the data. Right, so we have to implement the two parameter of the update function, update employee function. After that, delete. When you delete the record, you have to find the primary key of the table. Find the primary key of the table, delete the entire row. Right? So that you have to implement these 4 different methods. Okay, isn't it? I hope you will understand. So after that, we have got the implementation, employee implementation. So here, what you're going to do is implementation. Here also, you have to get the implementation field, right? So first, you have to add the namespace. So get the same namespace, same code I just copied, the implementation part, implementation, right? So here, what I'm going to say, it is reside on the first. You have to implement the employee repository folder. This folder. After that, we have to write here. This is you have to second one. You have to implement this one as you have to implement this one. You have to use app. You have to mention the path of the employee interface. So you have to write use app employee repository, this folder, slash this employee interface. Right click, rename employee interface. Okay, use app employee repository slash the interface. Right. So after that, we have to call the model use app slash models slash employee. So here this employee. So here, this is not an interface, this is not a class, this is a class. Class, you have to write class, you have to write this for this name, employee implementation. I just rename it and copy this and paste it over here. Simply you have to write here class implements. Which one I'm going to implement? We have to give the path use app employee repository. Inside the repository, we have an employee interface. Okay, this path we have to give. You have to mention the path. Implement which one? This one. Coming from where? Employee interface. Employee interface. This one. Rename it employee interface. Right? That's the thing you have, right? So here we already implement the function. Here, this one we have to implement it over here. Store data, we have to make it as function. Out function, open and close bracket. Here we have to write it over here. Simply you write here. All things are make it as function. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is you have to create this one, you have to paste it over here, create table, which is a table, model view table, create data, return table. Okay, so after that, here you have to write all function. I just copy it. I have to explain this all things, don't worry, because it take too much of time to complete this project if I not do it over here. Right, so you can see here, this is store function. You can see the store function. This all things are interface. This implemented here. So store function, you have to create the variable, create variable, create table. So here this the via the model we have store the record. So my model name is employee. I already told record will be send it to the database via the model. So we have to implement model here. You give the path of the model create. There's a create method here data. It returns. The same thing we have created the all employee model where we have to view the records. So all mean all the record will be coming from the database. It will be returning. Okay, so if you implement what's the use of this one repository pattern, we have reduced the controller code section. Here controller code section we will be reducing. If you write it, it's profession. Here 2-line code. When you update the record, you get the ID to data we are getting from the front end, ID and data, it will be getting here. Data, repository ID, it will be finding and it will be update the record. The same thing as a delete, get the ID. There's a function on your ORM tool, delete, it will be delete the record and return as category. Okay, these are the coming from the your ORM tool of the Laravel, right? So simple, the simple things we have to do it. Okay, so okay, interface the implementation of a here. Now what you're going to do is I'm going to go to the controller section. So control section. What I did here is here you can see the control section. The simple stuff I have did it. Right. First off, what you're going to do is here. First you have to get these all things. Which is already there. First you have to mention the model path. Whereas your model is inside the app folder, models, employee. This is a model, right? After that, you have to mention the app employee repository. This is an employee interface. Employee interface, right? So after that, we have to create the product repository interface. You have to create the variable repository interface. After that, what you are going to do is you have to create a function. This function, which is a function construct function. So here right here employee interface, you have to create this you have to write it this one. Okay, you have to equal this one interface. Employee interface mean this is the employee interface. This interface you have to create this interface, you have to create the object repository interface. Okay, you have to equal this one. Okay, the interface mean it goes to the employee interface to transfer. It goes to when you are sending the record, it goes here. It will be go to here and do the works. But that's how it's work. We have reduced the code implementation. Okay, so we have set it as a repository interface mean this is a repository interface. The interface via your database is data is traveling. Index function you can see here, very simple code we have write it here. Like interface name, first you have to store function, second I have to do it. Okay, so we have write this one. You write this all things as we have to set it as this one. We have to take it as this all things. You have to take it as our default one. I have delete them. Right, I have created the function separately to insert employee. So I just copy this function. I'm going to explain it. Public function store, the store function, not a bind. This is a request. The request is coming from the API request. So you have to first check it the validation part. Name, address, and phone number. Check it. After that, create table. This repository means go to this repository and store. There is a store function. Store function mean which is store data. If you store data mean repository store mean this is a repository interface. It goes to this interface. There is a method called store. The store goes to here. It get the data and create the record. That's up here. Simple things here. First you have to validate whether the name is there or not. only one line code. Here we no need to write the code over here. Only one line code will be done it. If you call the repository interface, you have to give the path over here. You have to create the object. This object, there is a method called store. Store means you are sending data. What the data is coming here, sending the data. It's also passing to the interface. This interface passing the implementation to done the work through the model. Right? Simple work, it will be done. Right? After that, add the data and response will be created. Here the response will be passing as a data format. All the response will be created. Right? This is how we have done the store function. After that, I have to implement another methods. Get all employee, update and delete employee. So all things I just copied and paste it over here. Here I'm going to get all employee. Right? Get all employee. You have to create the function get all employee, open bracket and close bracket. But you have to write the try and catch block. So here you have to create the variable get all employee equal new repository interface, which is repository interface get all employee. So get all employee means right, you have to pass into the function get all employee. Repository there is a function called get all employee here. This one should be passing to the implementation over here. Model through you have load all the employee data and passing to here, and we will be able to get the data. Right? After that, we have to get another one is we get take as a response, send as a JSON format. Right? We have to put as a try and catch block where you create the record and update the record. This one, if you are getting any error, it will be passed in the catch block. Right? So update the record when the record is coming from the API format, it's getting here and pass into the request. First, you have to check the validation. The name is required. This all things are required. Okay, name. Here we have to write this is the name. You have to write this of address, phone number. Okay, address, phone number. It's required. After that, update employee. This repository, it's called the employee update employee here interface. It goes to the ID and data and get it to the implementation. Get both. Call the update method to do the works. The same thing as a delete action when the data is ID is coming. It's sending to the repository interface to delete employee method. It's called the delete employee method over here. Along with the ID, it's implement over here and delete the entire record. This is how the system should be works. This is how the system should be works. Right? Okay, this is how your system should be work. I have done it so far well. Right? We have all things are done. Now let's go to my routes. Where's the routes? The routes. Laravel 11, the route is we haven't found it. This one. Find here. Go to the terminal. I'm going to type this one for PHP artisan install API. Okay. So it has been updated. Okay. So here it is downloaded as updated. Okay. Here you can see here. Here, if you update here, API.php is coming. You can see here. Here because the Laravel 11 is not coming the defaultly, you have to install PHP artisan install API. If you have run this command, it will be API.php is open. Okay, so here what you are right now we have to implement the routes. So route section you can get this one route section. Here go to the API.php here the route section. You have to put it here. After that you have to implement the path of the route. Okay, so where your route is residing. Okay, so you have to implement the path of the routes file. Now I'm going to add the path of the controller where your controller is resided. Okay, so now this is the implementation of API. Route post add the employee. When the request is coming / add the employee, it goes to employee controller store action method. So it goes to the employee controller store action method. Right? It's receiving the data. First you have to check the validation. After that, you have to create the variable here. This repository means it's sending the interface where the data is coming. This interface store method. So it goes interface store method. It's retrieving the data, passing to the implementation field to create the data via the model here. Okay, this is the efficient way to write the program because we have to here. Why we are implement the repository pattern mean we are reduce the code here one line code here done the action. Only the one line code. Here also we implement the only one line code. This is the API written part. Here, all things you implement the one line code. Look at the code structure. All of we are implement the one line codes. We have to implement the code structure, right? So let's save our terminal. Open up the new terminal. I'm going to again run it. Here run the project. So to close the other ones. Right, I'm going to run it again. PHP artisan serve. Now here, copy this, open up the Postman. Open up the Postman. Now let's test it. Open up the Postman. Here your port is working the port. Now what I'm going to test it. So here first for out the tester, you have to go to the routes section. Sorry, here API.php here this field. So I'm going to write where the request in forced mapping store /store add employee. Here what you are going to do is it goes to the add employee. You have to create the row, open and close bracket. So you have to implement the name, employee name, here these fields, name, address, phone number. So all things I just copied, paste over here. I'm going to get rid of these lines. Okay, I'm going to teach employee name, address, phone, employee name. I'm going to write here as John. Address I'm going to type it as India. Phone number I'm going to type it as 11. This phone number I'm going to type it. Now here you can write it here. This is a API. So now your request is the API. Okay, this is API. Now here you have type it here. Add the employee here /API/employee. Add the employee. Okay. The problem is here. This problem is getting from, I forgot it one line of the code line. So goes to my project here. So here where's my project here? This is my project. So it added there. After the implement the routes, we have another things we have to add it. Go to app folder. Go to the app folder. There's a folder providers. Inside the providers folder, there is a file which is we have to bind it. This file. Okay, so you have to go here. App folder, inside the app folder. We have a folder which is providers. Inside the provider, app service provider. Here, what you are going to do is you have to bind it. What's the thing you have to bind this line? Paste it over here. Register. You have to register this. This app bind employee interface. This employee interface you have to bind the class. After that, you have to write employee implementation class. You have to write like this. You have to bind this one. You have to provide a path over here. Whereas your interface is resided. You have to give this all the path. Write this one. You have to give here this two path. Your repository, inside the repository, there is a app employee repository implementation, app employee repository implementation interface. Okay, so you have to keep in mind here all the spelling are correct or not. That is very must. The base right. Okay, these all things are right, so you have to test it. Right, now type the command composer dump autoload. Right, you have to update this one, update all the files. After that, you have to type composer update. That you have to update the things. After that, you have to run PHP artisan save. Right, you have to run the application. Right, so let's back to my API. So here you have to write add the employee. So that I'm going to add it here, Peter, India, phone number, something like that. Click send button. Okay, it's working. Now let's look at the browser. You can click yes. Here it's working. It's added here. It's added successfully. Now here we have to view the record. So how to view the record? We have to using you can see, go to my API, get all employee. You have to go here. The same thing, copy, get it one, another one, get all employee, get all employee, get the record here. How many record is there? You will be able to. Right. Now I'm going to edit the record. So you have to write this one as I'm going to same thing as the copy. So here this method will be put. You can see the put method. When the employee records are there, coming here, copy this, paste it over here. What's the ID is coming? So you have to get employee ID here. What's the ID? This ID I'm going to update. So I just copy it, paste over here, body, row, paste here. What I'm going to do is, this is the API. I'm going to update this ID is for. This no need the ID. Okay, this all the fields no need. Okay, I'm going to India. I'm going to change it as USA. USA. Phone number I'm going to something phone number. I'm going to give something phone number. Right. So you have to click send. Data updated. It's working perfectly well. Now you can see the updated data, whether it's updated or not. You can check it here. Here in the USA, the phone number has been updated successfully. Right. So now what you're going to do is, after that we have to make the delete function. The delete data. So that is also same thing. Delete function. This data I'm going to delete, which is a delete mapping. Not just click send button. Data true means deleted. So let's check back again. Get all. Here one record left. Right. I hope you guys how to implement the CRUD application using repository pattern. Thank you for watching.